What's up, y'all? Welcome back to another video. For today's video, I'm going to be discussing my predictions for UFC Saudi Arabia. So let's get into it. Off the top, it's going to be a good fight night. A lot of good fights from top to bottom, really. From the early prelims, great fights. Prelims, great fights. Main card, great fights. There's only one girl fight, and it's a ranked fight, so that fight should be good too. But there's a lot of good fighters that have had fight of the nights and bonuses before, so you know it's going to be a good card when you have a lot of those type of people on the card. So the first fight of the main card, we got Vinicius Oliveira versus Syed Nurmagomedov. Don't get the Nurmagomedov name confused. He's not related to Khabib at all, or anyone in that family, so he's his own Nurmagomedov. And he is a good kickboxer and wrestler. He's not as much of a wrestler as the normal Nurmagomedovs, like the Khabibs and those type of guys. He's more of a stand-up striking type of guy. Oliveira, he's a striker as well. He's a very dangerous striker. He has 2 fights in the UFC. The one fight, the flying knee knockout, was probably the best knockout I've seen since Jorge Masvidal. I'm sure if you all are UFC fans, you remember that knockout, Oliveira's knockout last year. Flying knee, sent him on the ground. I mean, this guy is electric. He's electrifying. His striking is good. He doesn't really have to wrestle a lot because his opponents, he hasn't really had to show any wrestling yet, so I don't know how good that is. And I don't know if Nurmagomedov is going to work in some wrestling, but I think Oliveira is going to try to keep it on the feet. I think he's going to get it done. I think he's going to knock Nurmagomedov out. So I think Oliveira is going to win this one. Then that next fight, we got Jairzinho Rozenstruik versus Sergey Pavlovich. I have to have a paper for this one because there's so many long names. But anyways, that one's a heavyweight fight. Obviously, Sergey lost to Tom Aspinall and the tall Alex. I forget his last name. But he lost, or Volkov. He lost to Volkov. So that's 2 fights in a row that he's lost to 2 really good guys, though. Rozenstruik's coming off wins against not so good guys. So you have a guy coming off losses versus good guys, and a guy coming off wins from bad guys. So if you compare their opponents, their last few opponents, Pavlovich has a lot more better opponents that he's fought recently. Rozenstruik hasn't. Rozenstruik has been good, but he's also fought not so good guys. So I think Pavlovich is going to win by knockout in round 1, maybe early round 2, but I think he's going to get in there and get the job done pretty fast, especially with it being in Saudi Arabia. A lot of Russians there. A lot of Russians do good there. I think Pavlovich is going to do good and get a first round knockout. Moving on to that co-main event, we have Michael Venom Page versus Shara Magomedov. Shara Bullet versus Michael Venom Page. This is going to be an electrifying fight. This is going to be a striking fight. There's not going to be any wrestling. Now, here's where it could get a little weird. They're both really good strikers, which means it might be a boring fight because they're both scared of each other's tools. However, I don't think it'll be that. I think they're both going to go in there and try to put on a show. Shara always goes in there and puts on a show. So does Venom Page. I think it's going to be a duel. I like both of them. That's why it's hard to pick. I like Shara. This is a really big step up in competition. His last 2 fights, even his last fight was close until he knocked him out. It's tough, but Venom Page is moving up a weight class to Shara's weight class, middleweight, so it can go either way. Shara does have one eye. You got to remember that. I think Page is going to get it done by decision. I really do. I think it's going to be a close fight till the end. I think Shara, he's going to get beaten down a little bit by Venom Page. I could be wrong again. And I don't hate either one of them. I like both of them. I just think Venom Page is the better fighter in this matchup, and I think he's going to get it done by decision. Then we move on to the main event. Israel Adesanya versus Nasruddin Imavov. I probably butchered his name, but who cares? Israel Adesanya coming off a title fight to Dricus, as we know. It was probably 1-1, 1-2 going into that round. And then he gave up his back and Dricus choked him out. But I do think Izzy is obviously he's the more pro-ready fighter for this fight. He has a lot of experience, a lot of UFC fights under his belt. Imavov has a few fights. I think he has 5 or 6 fights. Now, when I look at fights like this, I look at similar opponents. They both faced Sean Strickland, and they both did about the same. However, Izzy got beat down. Izzy lost that fight by a lot. However, if you look at the strikes, because they both lost to Sean Strickland, their strikes are pretty much the same against Strickland. So I think it's going to be a pretty fair fight. But what's going to make the difference in this fight is the experience and the championship experience. Izzy's going to get it done just based on that. He has more experience. Even if Imavov tries to wrestle, Izzy has shown he has takedown defense. He's shown he has skills in that department. So I think he's going to have the experience to be able to get this fight done and get the job done. I think it'll be by decision, but maybe a round 4 or 5 knockout for Izzy. Maybe he'll tire Imavov out and just get the late round knockout, but I think it'll be a decision win for Izzy, and he'll get the next title shot. So those are my predictions for UFC Saudi Arabia. It's going to be a great fight. Tune into it because it's going to be great. It's going to be in the morning too. But those are my predictions. Let me know in the comments what y'all think. What are y'all predictions for some of the fight? And subscribe, like. I'll be back with more soon. See ya.